On this, the former U.S. ambassador to Denmark during the first Trump administration. Ambassador, welcome. Any thoughts on, the way Prime Minister Starmer kind of phrased this and progress that's being made? I mean, one thing he says, hey, we're all in here in terms of Ukraine.
Well, we're glad the UK is all in, and we hope the rest of the EU is all in as well, because most of the American people, and certainly I believe President Trump, this is my personal opinion, we think this is Europe's war, and Europe needs to do more.
Now, the commentary today that's also been interesting, we haven't gotten to this on the show yet, is from Vladimir Putin. Because, as you know, the criticism of the last couple of weeks of President Trump is that he's been parroting Putin's talking points. And when he's talking about Ukraine or he's talking about Zelensky, Putin today says not everyone's happy with the resumption of peace talks. And he had this warning for what he called Western elites. Here's Putin. We understand not everyone's satisfied with the resumption of these contacts between Russia and the United States. Some Western elites still are determined to maintain instability in the world, and these forces will try to disrupt or compromise the dialogue that has begun. I mean, the dialogue between the U.S. and Russia. Your thoughts on how this is being handled?
Well, I saw one of the prime ministers in Europe, an EU prime minister, just say within the last few days, perhaps peace is more dangerous than war. They literally said that. And so I guess he's seeing the same comments I'm seeing. And, I'm not going to speculate about what his motivation is, but I will say that President Trump, I believe, has the right idea. He wants to end the bloodshed, the death of the treasure of both of these nations. He wants to end that and bring about peace. And
but
I
peace,
think that's
theoretically, although I know what you're saying, could be more dangerous than war in the long term. That could be the point, because if you allow Putin to reload and then, re-invade or perhaps go even further than Ukraine, then that would be more dangerous. I mean, that could be a fair point.
Well, Connell, I think that's a good point why we need strong American presidents and strong American leadership. Putin did not invade any country during President Trump's first term. He invaded under Joe Biden and he invaded under Barack Obama. So that's when he went into Ukraine, 2014 and in 2022. So you can say what you will about him taking more territory. If we have good leadership in the White House, this is not going to be a problem.
The pushback on that, it's interesting that you say that, because then if they do come up with a deal here, and again, we talked about this earlier, the terms of that deal matter, right? Because you're right, he didn't invade under President Trump, and he may sign a peace deal under President Trump. So the president, well, the president could say, this is a peace deal, and I got this. But then he's only in for one term. And the longer term legacy, if Putin feels like he can get a good deal under Trump and can invade under other presidents, is the same for the country. I mean, the long-term risk would be the same for the country. In other words, he could take advantage of Trump indirectly by invading under some other president, by getting a sweetheart deal from Trump.
My God, this is such speculation. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. But what we do know and what we hope is that the American voters are going to continue to vote in strong, pro-America, America First presidents. If we have those presidents where world leaders, they have a good relationship with all world leaders, but the world leaders know there's a consequence if they misbehave, then we will have peace around the world like we had under President Trump's first term.
Right, that's what I'm saying. What's the consequence for the misbehavior? The misbehavior here is the Russian invasion of Ukraine. So what's the consequence of that? It can't be a sweetheart deal.
It'll be the deal that they negotiate. I suspect everybody's going to walk away from the table wishing they had a little more. But President Trump wrote the book, The Art of the Deal, 30 years ago. He knows how to get a good deal. Most of our leaders in the United States have not been cutting-edge businessmen. They don't know how to stare down someone from the other side of the table, and they don't know how to negotiate. Look at how Tony Blinken was absolutely mistreated by the Chinese Communist Party when they had a meeting up north early on in the Biden administration. Shameful. You have to have strong people. And when I looked at that cabinet meeting yesterday at the White House, I saw strong people around that table. The American people are going to benefit from America First leadership from a lot of folks from the private sector.
All right, Ambassador Carla Sands with us today. Again, the Zelensky meeting will be very interesting. We had Prime Minister Starmer today. That's tomorrow. Thanks for joining us today as we move on. Thanks so much for watching. Just go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.